Hey everybody, welcome to
Hello.
Digi and May's Pokemon Journey.
May.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yes, you are May.
No.
And we are going to journey through the Pokemon movies. All of them. We're going to watch all the movies.
If you are a fan of us rating the Pokemon, just wait till you wait to see what we have to say about
all the movies.
Observing the Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, the Pokemon movies are a really fun way of consuming the show because it's just a bunch of, individual stories that are quite different in tone from the show, particularly this one. And also we'll be talking about the Pokemon Pikachu's Vacation short, or the Pikachu shorts that come before the movies, just to get the full experience, because they're very different. The Vacation short and the movie are very different.
They are part of the experience.
Yeah, and what's great about both is that it's really about seeing Pokemon in, like, a high-budget film production.
Mm-hmm.
Like, particularly... And I didn't appreciate this as a kid, really, but I do definitely as an adult. The original Pokemon anime was, like, shitty looking.
Yeah, it looked generic, and it was just to sell toys.
Cheap. Yeah. I mean... It's still a good show, and the Pokemon designs are phenomenal, but, like, the animation was almost non-existent. Yeah. Characters were always going off model and shit, and it's just generally not the prettiest. But then you get to the movies and the Pikachu shorts, and it's like, this is what it would be if it was, like, perfect.
If they had unlimited resources.
Yeah. I don't know about unlimited.
Well,
weirdly enough, the Pikachu short is almost better looking than the actual movie in this case. Like, because the Pikachu short is fucking amazing.
Well, they're really short, but the focus is on the animation.
Yeah, definitely.
Versus the movie that has a focus on, like, the narrative.
That's a good point.
The characters.
Yeah.
So,
the
fucking music they spend so much money on.
We'll talk about the Pikachu short first, since it's if you saw, so for anybody who isn't clear on this, if anybody's listening to this who's not a Pokemon fan, who doesn't know the movies, it's gonna be hard for us to account for you because we've literally grown up with these movies and watched them like dozens of times. I think for both of us, this was like almost deja vu levels of, like, I've heard all this before, but I don't remember where.
Yeah.
Like, every image in this movie was intimately familiar to me.
Especially with the short, I felt that way.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember this.
Exactly. Because it's that weird combination of having seen it so many times that as a kid, you could have recited the entire thing, but as an adult, you haven't seen it in 15 years. So it's like that weird, almost unsettling feeling of revisiting something that you used to care very deeply about, and strangely find yourself still caring about more than you expect, For
different reasons, but all good reasons nonetheless.
Well, the Pikachu... So, for those who don't know, each Pokemon movie, at least up to a certain point, before the movie, they would play a 20-minute short film just about the Pokemon themselves. That usually doesn't feature any of the trainers. It's just the Pokemon having fun, doing some kind of little adventure.
The narrator is the only, like, voice you hear.
Yeah, the
Sometimes
voice
you
of the
hear,
Pokedex.
like, Ash and Misty and Brock, like, talking in the background, but
usually
you don't
at the very
actually
beginning.
see them.
Yeah. So, the first of these is Pikachu's Vacation.
Vacation's where I wanna be.
Party on the beach where the fun is free. First of all, we have to mention the fact that we watched this dubbed, as always.
Of course, you aren't experiencing, like, the true experience.
Now, I know that, like, I mean, I wouldn't blame any... If you're used to Pokemon in Japanese, go ahead and
watch it.
But, like... I've seen this movie dozens of times. It would be weirder to watch it in Japanese for me. And for what it's worth, while this is a 4Kids dub, I can tell they tried to make it not so embarrassing for the movie, Like, not that the voice acting is good, but it's not shit.
No, they got a good actor for Mewtwo, which was
Mewtwo
the most important role.
Mewtwo's voice is really fucking cool and menacing, and he sounds very distinctive.
The accents are hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, so Mewtwo sounds like he would be the singer of a prog metal band, and he's cool as shit. But then you've got, like, some characters who they've given weird accents that
they've taken some liberties.
Yeah.
Like, these are all just supposed to be Japanese guys.
Yeah.
But
the weirdest one is the woman. Well, we'll get into that later. We're going to talk about the vacation short. Well, I was bringing up the fact that we were watching the dub because of the fact that there's lots of licensed music in this movie. And we both had the soundtrack, which I believe I think I might have had this on a fucking cassette tape.
Yeah?
Yeah. I know I had the TV show soundtrack on a cassette tape. I don't remember if the movie was on CD.
I definitely had it on a disc.
Yeah. I think maybe it was on CD, because this would have been the late 90s, so
you
by
could
then...
still have gotten it on cassette, though. I feel like that wouldn't be that weird.
I don't know.
I definitely had the movie on VHS. I didn't have a DVD of this.
But yeah, like, we both had the soundtrack, I think, and so I'm very familiar with it, and the song that plays for the Pikachu vacation short is, I think, a Britney Spears song. Vacation's where I wanna be.
I would believe that. I
think it is Britney Spears. It's like, it doesn't sound like her at all, but I remember it being credited to her. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe there's another Britney Spears
I don't know.
song there. But, yeah, it's a fun song. It's really good. The licensed music in this movie, some of it is like iconic and like I can never imagine the film without it. And some of it's like, why the fuck was that song in there at all?
Why did you need to put another pop song that has nothing to do with the movie?
But like, thankfully most of that's in the credits and not so much in the movie itself. Like, if you bought the OST, you'd be scratching your head at some of the tracks that are on there. But
I think those bands probably paid them to be in the movie. Definitely. Like, hey, will you feature our song?
They were all like big name late 90s. There's like a Backstreet Boys song and like a fucking some other boy band, or I think the Backstreet Boys one is in the second movie. That's the didn't they do the song for the rescue, get there in a hurry, rescue, baby, don't you worry.
I don't know if it's Backstreet
one
Boys,
of the boy
but it's
bands.
some boy band.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of the third movie soundtrack. Like, that was my jam.
Well, we'll get to that.
Oh, boy.
We will get to that when we get to the third movie.
I know. I'm already hyped, though.
But, so yeah, there's a bunch of licensed music, but thankfully they still left in mostly the original film score, which is great in these. And the Pikachu's Vacation short is a 20-minute short at the start of the movie that is basically like a Looney Tune with Pokemon as the characters.
Yeah.
But less like, you know, it's like Japanese-style animation Looney Tune, you know? It's not like crazy stretch and squish like, you know, stuff like the way that Looney Tunes actually are. But like, the way that they would use characters who don't talk, but instead the soundtrack kind of talks for them, you know? Like, it plays lots of those little... It's like a... What is that called where the soundtrack is, like, matched to the scenes? I don't know what that's called, but there's a name for it.
Why would I know?
I don't know. I have no fucking idea. But there is a name for that. It kind of does that, but like this thing is 20 minutes of just nonstop
entertainment. It's just super entertaining. It doesn't end. There's not a dull moment in the whole thing.
There's not a single second of something not adorable happening.
Something is always moving. Something is always going on. There's always cute sounds, cute faces.
It's almost too intense. And we were talking about how we almost regret not watching it high because, like, it is a perfect high experience. I could tell.
The weird bumpers. They distribute every 5 minutes through the short.
In order to keep this thing as breezy as it is, like there's no moments of like scene transition. Instead, there's like little like cutaways where it'll cut to like a Pokemon doing something really trippy and weird. Like the first one is these. Yeah. Well, the first one's these two Bellsprouts that are just like coming out of the center of the screen, and there's like one coming out to the right, one to the left, and they're just like gyrating and going like
really trippy music going
Bellsprout, and it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
And the background is like all weird watercolors and like washed out, and you're like, what the why?
So it's kind of a trip when you get into those segments, but like the basic thrust of this short is that the main characters drop their Pokemon off at this vacation spot. This basically like a water park for Pokemon.
They're having a fun day.
Yeah,
no trainers.
It's just Pokemon by themselves, and Pikachu has Togepi left in his care because Togepi's a baby.
Oh, baby.
And it's basically about Pikachu, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle are trying to keep Togepi happy, and then there's this gang of 4. Like
fuck boys.
They come across as like 4 like normie bros. That's how they seem to me.
They're
like
definitely
a bunch of bros.
I don't know if they're bros.
Well,
they're
how would
assholes.
you describe them? But they're like, because we're introduced, it's Raichu, Cubone, Snubbull, and Meryl. And the way they're introduced is they're all walking and just like laughing uncontrollably at their like each other's jokes and stuff.
Yeah, they're friends. They're like a fucking squad.
They're buddies, but they come across as like that group of like douchebags you would see like all wearing backwards caps and like like a bunch of 6-foot dude bros.
They're squadding up.
Yeah, they're squad up, and they come over to start shit. I mean, at first. In fairness, Pikachu's kind of the one who starts shit because they're all just making a lot of noise and Pikachu's trying to keep Togepi asleep. So Pikachu heads over to be like, hey, can you guys quiet down? But like before he can even get a word out, they're just like immediately in his face. Yeah. Now, it's at this point I must clarify, there is no dialogue in this.
No, they're just saying their names.
It's amazing how well you can understand like not just what's happening, but the personalities of the characters through just the animation.
And the voice acting.
And facial expressions and just the way they say their name over and over again. But like you kind of get this feeling like Pokemon are basically just dumb people, you know, like they have the same emotions that we do, but it's expressed without words. So, you know, there's one part where I think it's Snubbull and Squirtle are like facing off against each other and they're both trying to put up a tough guy act. Yeah. So they both just keep sucking in their chests bigger and bigger until Squirtle falls over and they all laugh at him. And then like just fucking Bulbasaur comes in and just starts spinning his eyes around. There's so much weird shit that's hilarious and beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my god, every moment of it is fantastic.
It's magical. It's a joy.
And there's like these little mini arcs in there too, because like the overall story is basically Pikachu, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur versus this group of fuckboys. But this plays out. At first, it's like they're just confronting each other, you know, in the street. They're just kind of mad at each other. But then it kind of escalates where they're like, okay, let's have a showdown.
Yeah.
And so Squirtle and Meryl have like a big race.
This is like really important to my life.
Yeah.
Because me and my sister, whenever we went swimming, like for a 2-year span after this movie came out, would reenact this scene.
Like, how, to what extent?
So we would say the Pokemon's names. I was always Meryl and she was Squirtle because I don't like Squirtle.
Right.
Squirtle's fucking Tommy Pickles.
Yeah. As you've clarified.
Yeah, and my brother would be the fucking, I think it's Voltorb who starts them off.
Electrode.
And
it self-destructs to start the match.
My brother would fucking pretend to be Electrode, and then we'd both jump into the pool and try to swim to the other side.
Right. Did she always deliberately like vert to the right and then get
she would always beat me because I'm not a fast swimmer.
I see. Yeah, so there's a whole swimming race.
Yes.
Then Raichu and Pikachu.
They play great music during the swimming race. You can't forget that.
The music all around is great.
Catch me if you fucking can.
Oh yeah. Oh, come and try to catch me. Oh, catch me if you can. That's another. Yeah, all the pop music that's actually in there is like good.
Yeah.
I would say it's pretty well used. Especially in this short. Because they're these very upbeat, fun, sunny songs that sound like a vacation.
Yeah, they fit the atmosphere perfectly, and they're really fucking catchy.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I can't tell if I remember that song from hearing it on the radio or if it was in the Pokemon short. I
had never heard any of the songs in this movie on the radio.
Me neither. They don't think they ever played them, but...
They're all, like, weird, obscure songs by these bands.
But when I would, like, think of them, like, retroactively, I'm like, where do I know that song from?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Pokemon.
I had somebody... I remember, like, I was singing the Vacation song to someone, like, once, and they insisted that they had heard it like they knew the song from like, oh, it's been on the radio, and I was like,
No,
on what channel?
No, it hasn't. You're just trying to hide the fact that you like Pokemon, fam.
But yeah. So then Pikachu and Raichu have this part where they're like they're squishing their faces together and just running, and even within that, like that is its own vignette, but within that is a bunch of small stories of them running through areas. Like there's a Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan that are like sparring, that they get knocked by these guys. There's Team Rocket's Pokemon are all sleeping out in the field, they get knocked by these guys, and then the whole thing culminates in Charizard getting his head stuck in a tube.
Poor Charizard.
Yeah, in this weird structure. And then basically it actually gets kind of emotional because they're trying to get Charizard out, and at first it's goofy and silly,
but then it's like, shit,
Charizard's
I'm
like
stuck.
literally crying, and it was like, oh my god, like poor Charizard is like actually stuck in there. And then all the Pokemon
he was just
unite.
trying to have a good time and show off, and now he's stuck inside a thing. What even is that?
I don't know. It's like I assume it's just like a little habitat thing, like somewhere to crawl into for smaller Pokemon. But so then all the Pokemon unite, like they make up with the mean Pokemon, and they all join together to get Charizard
Yeah, they
out
all
of the
start
tube.
doing tug of war. I legitimately, like, after watching this, they pull, like, they will pull and then relax and then pull again. Yeah. And that's how I thought you were supposed to pull.
That's what I think. I think I did that too. Yeah, the way they're all trying to pull Charizard out is they keep like going
not
like
continuously pulling.
Heave.
Yes.
And I'm like, wouldn't it be easier if they just pulled
like a tug of war?
Yeah. Know? I don't know. Maybe both have a purpose, but it seemed like in this instance, just pulling.
I think they're just trying to like through the animation show how much effort they're putting into it. With, like, a consistent pull.
It definitely would have looked wrong with a consistent pull. But, like, for how long it's going on for.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah. I think I also got the impression that that's how you pull something as a kid.
I was young and impressionable, and Pokemon was what impressioned me.
It's funny because everyone says these things are, like, gonna, change your kids and stuff, but, like, it's weird the ways that it actually happens. Like, I learned to pull a rope wrong because of Pokemon. But yeah.
Oh, damn those Japanese.
So there's a kind of little emotional climax at the end, but like, even still, again, not a single moment of this is less than fucking adorable. Yeah. All of it's beautifully animated. It's always fun. The music's great. The expressions on the characters are great. Like,
they use every second.
Yeah.
If they really crammed a lot.
The transitions are fucking weird and hilarious. So, honestly, I, like, legit came away from that, like, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say it's as good as, like, Ponyo, but it's, like, worthy of mention in the same breath.
Exactly.
Like, there was not a second of it I didn't enjoy.
There was no dialogue, but there was so much character, and there was so much fun.
Yeah. There's not a single, like, the only reason it's not a 10 is that the things I've given a 10 reach greater heights.
Yeah. You can only go so far emotionally without, like, with the fun,
with a 20-minute Pokemon
story
movie,
with no words.
There's nothing that's gonna, like, blow your mind and you'll remember it forever.
I don't know.
But you will remember it forever if you've seen it 22 times. But, yeah, I fucking loved it. I legitimately loved it. I had a stuck smile on my face at the end of that.
Yeah, he really did.
So from there, we move into the proper movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, Pokemon the first movie.
Starting with the prologue, the origin of Mew.
So, okay, this movie has 10 minutes that I'd never seen before. Because
I'm surprised you've never seen it, because I've only seen it once, but
I didn't even know about it.
Yeah?
I did not even know. Because so this movie's 90 minutes long, and the American release of it cuts out about 10 minutes at the start of the movie.
Yeah, I think it's, like, in the DVD as a special feature, but if you just, like, watched it as a regular movie, or, like, watched it online, or you watched it, like, you had the VHS, or watched it on TV, or in the theaters. I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the theaters either.
No. And
you won't get this.
I had heard before that the Japanese version of the movie was different, but I thought they just changed some of the dialogue or something.
Yeah.
But there is a 10-minute chunk of this movie that was not in the theatrical release. And it kind of cuts from about 2 minutes in to about 12 minutes in. That segment is gone. And it's basically a huge chunk of the origin of Mewtwo. Because the first 20 minutes of this movie is just the origin of Mewtwo, which is pretty fucking intense.
Yeah.
Like, 90 minutes... A 90-minute movie, and 20 of that
it's
is
just to set up the antagonist.
You don't even see the main characters. You don't hear anything about them. And it's like a really dark backstory.
It doesn't have the same tone as the movie. Like, I am kind of glad that the first time I saw this, and like, I remember it without the prologue part. Just because I don't feel like it fit the dub as well as it was intended to,
I mean, looking at it, I completely understand why they cut it out. Because A, it's really dark.
It is.
And B, it goes on for so long that, like, I could easily imagine American audiences especially being like, what the fuck is going on?
And
like,
nothing in it really comes up again. Like, they have, like, the starter evolved forms, but they also have them in the movie anyways, so...
The whole Amber subplot is kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, I think it's really...
Which is why
it's a cliche, and I don't think it really added that much.
So, basically,
it was sad as fuck, though. I kind of teared up, not gonna lie.
The way this movie starts is that Giovanni... The leader of Team Rocket and the 8th gym leader.
My boy from Italy.
Yeah, Giovanni has he's what's the word I'm looking for? Contracted these scientists to try and find or clone Mew.
The perfect Pokemon.
Yeah, because Mew is like the rarest and strongest Pokemon that is known, apparently.
Yeah.
And so...
And they want a super clone.
Yeah, these scientists, they find a part of Mew and they can extract his DNA from it. And so they clone it. They try to clone it to make Mewtwo. Now, the lead scientist... This is where we get into the weird backstory part that was cut out of the American release of the movie. The scientist guy is doing this because his daughter died, and he's been trying to clone his daughter, which was later became the plot of Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha. This is like the exact backstory of Nanoha, incidentally. But so he's trying to clone his daughter. His wife leaves him because she's just like fed up with him doing this because she's like, our daughter's dead. She's never coming back. And so he hasn't been able to clone her successfully, but he's also trying to clone Pokemon on the side. Now, there's a part when Mewtwo's like first developing as like he's like a kid Mewtwo.
Yeah, he's a youngling.
And he goes on like a weird psychic vision quest with the daughter and the other 3 Pokemon that they're trying to clone, where she teaches him that basically life is valuable.
Yeah, they go through like her memories, which is really strange.
And like the only really significant part of all of this is like to the main narrative of the movie is simply the fact that she teaches Mewtwo like being alive is a good thing.
Good. Life is beautiful.
Yeah. And
be happy you're alive.
But then she and the other clones fail, so she's just dead. She's gone. And Mewtwo's the only one who makes it. And so he he forgets all of this though. So
they
then
make him forget because like they
induce
chemicals.
Yeah, they make him forget the lesson. So then then it cuts to the part that actually was in the movie, which is where Mewtwo he's birthed from his cloning pod. And all the scientists are like, dude, you're the strongest Pokemon ever. You're this brilliant experiment that we did. And Mewtwo's like, what? Like, he's like immediately like in search of purpose. He's like, who am I? Why am I here? And everything they're telling him is shit he does not want to hear. He's like, oh, so I'm just a fucking toy. I'm just here for you guys to run tests on an amusement. Fuck that. He blows up the facility.
Kills them all.
Hopefully. This whole part of the movie is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I would say that the backstory with the daughter, Amber, and all that is pretty unnecessary, and it's not, like, the parts where they're in her memories, I thought weren't that strong, like, looking, you know?
No.
But this segment here, where Mewtwo is, like, being unleashed, is just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, like, 90s anime sci-fi. Because this came out in, like, 98.
1998, yeah.
And, like, at the time, this is what would have been popular in anime. It's, like, super dark, well-drawn OVAs about, like, bio creatures. You know, it kind of reminds me of, like, Guyver or something else, like Generator Gall came out around the same time. Like, this is, like, shows about, like, bio-generated humans with superpowers, like, especially psychic powers, were all the rage at this time period. So this is basically like a standard classic 90s OVA.
Just with Pokemon.
But with Pokemon. Yeah. Where the badass...
Sprinkle in some commercial success.
Yeah, the badass psychic fucking made in the lab is a fucking Pokemon. And it's Mewtwo. But, like, the cinematography of these scenes is so cool. Like, just the lighting on Mewtwo and everything, the framing of shots, the way that the powers will, like, swell up, the fire effects. The powers look
so cool.
Yeah. And,
it just was a complete show of badassery.
Yeah. So then after Mewtwo blows up the facility, Giovanni shows up, and he's like, look, those guys... You know, they didn't get it. You're, like, the most powerful Pokemon in the world, but you need to, like, harness your powers. They're out of control. I can help you harness those powers. So you should come with me, bro. And Mewtwo's like, all right. Because, like, all he really knows about himself is that he's the strongest Pokemon. That's the only thing he has as, like, a sense of purpose is I am the strongest Pokemon.
And he has a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't want to feel like a tool.
So he teams up with Giovanni. Giovanni puts him in these, like, containment suit thing that's like a mech suit, kind of. Now he really looks like a 90s fucking anime character. Oh my god,
he looks so fucking cool.
Yeah. So they put him in this cool mechanical shit, and basically Giovanni's just using him to beat the shit out of other trainers, and to, like, mass capture Pokemon, and to do all this, like, shit that, you know, his usual illegal shit.
The scene with the Tauros...
Yeah.
Was genius.
Yeah.
It, like, really gave me a sense of, like, what Team Rocket, like, is and does and how they are able to operate.
Yeah. So
it was pretty cool.
Basically, they're, like, herding all these Tauros to capture them en masse, I guess. And Mewtwo's using his power to, like, just
lifts them all up, and they all just fucking... All the Team Rocket members just start chucking balls.
Yep. So, yeah, he's basically using Mewtwo's power for all of his shit.
Yeah, shenanigans.
And, he beats Gary Oak with Mewtwo, which, interestingly enough, if you had been watching the anime at the time, this was actually canon. Yeah. This movie is actually canon to the anime. There's nothing in it that contradicts the anime. Because in the show, there's a part where we see Gary Oak get beaten by Giovanni, because, like, he comes out of the gym and he's like, dude, don't go in there, that shit's fucked, right? Then we see the scene of Mewtwo busting out of the facility and flying off through space. That's in the show. And then when Ash comes to Giovanni's gym, Giovanni's not there, because he's too busy dealing with this Mewtwo shit, and he has to fight Team Rocket instead. So it all ties into the movie.
Yeah.
Unlike any other Pokemon movie, which are all just in their own little world, but they have no relevance to what happens in the show. And at the end of this movie, Mewtwo wipes all the characters' memories.
Which it fits perfectly.
Yeah, it's a shame, but, like, it's a way to make it so this was canon, they just don't remember it.
I mean, that's such a cop-out, but the fact that Mewtwo is psychic is, like, obviously you're gonna wipe memories, like...
Well, he's, like, an insanely all-powerful psychic, too. So they do all that, this intro bit, and it feels very 90s sci-fi. It's really cool, well-animated. Cool. And then finally that section's over. So the first 20 minutes, all just to establish how menacing Mewtwo is, his whole backstory, why he's doing the shit he's doing, like, what the underlying theme of his character is going to be, and he has a cool-ass voice.
Yeah.
And then finally we cut to the main characters, who are dicking around as always. Like,
it's really crazy to think that was a fourth of the movie.
Yeah.
It didn't even have any of the main cast in it.
No.
It was just fucking Mewtwo being a badass.
Yeah.
And being a pussy.
And it's so, like, the weird part is that whole 20-minute segment is dark. There is no levity in all of that. There's no comic relief. There's no, like, cutaway to a funny thing. It's all just this really dark story that feels like a 90s sci-fi story.
I wonder if that's why they decided to start the Pokemon shorts. Was because they wanted, like, when families came to the theater to like see something like, oh, I want my kids to see this.
Yeah.
Before they jump right into like.
Yeah. Because the stories of the Pokemon movies are usually more serious. So they open up with this goofy little fun Pikachu movie that everyone will love. And then they go into like a more serious film. But like even with this one, cutting out that whole like 10-minute section, I feel like was probably necessary.
Yeah.
For like, because imagine now the biggest thing that felt different to me watching this movie as an adult was how short this movie feels, because it is only 90 minutes and it goes by pretty quick. Like there's not that many things that happen in the movie, but like as a kid, it felt like a fully fleshed out film. It felt like it went on for a while.
Because they change scenes, some, like, scenery. Like, they start off with, like, setting the stage with Mewtwo and Giovanni, and then they hop to, like, Ash and the crew.
Yeah.
And they hop to whatever, like, the station they're at.
Yeah.
To, like, how they get there. Yeah. To the brutal scenes that happen at the island.
Right.
Like, I think the whole, like... We'll get to this later, but some things are just too much when you're a kid,
right?
And it definitely like makes you think it feels like it's longer.
Yeah, I just think that and this also applies to the Pikachu's Vacation short. Like the fact that it felt so jam packed, and it was like stuff was constantly happening, and it was like kind of fucking with my head because. Yeah, I think just as a kid, we were so hyperactive that like we just kind of processed it a little bit slower or something. Like it didn't feel like this insane amount of things happening. It felt normal, and you watch it as an adult and you're like, oh, that was over in 5 fucking seconds, So I'm thinking about that 20-minute opening part, which didn't feel that long.
No.
But as a kid, it probably would have felt fucking insanely long. Like, you would have just been in the theater watching this dark-ass Pokemon movie and being like, what the fuck is this, So it's probably for the best that they cut that part out.
Definitely, I have no grievances about that.
Yeah, and honestly, like, even watching the full version now, I would still cut that part out.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes didn't add enough to warrant that time being slotted into the movie. Like,
I don't think it had to be that long.
It's a cool bonus feature.
Yeah. And it felt tight. Like, my memory of the opening scene was that it was a tight, like, fucking brutal event of, like, they find Mew, they clone Mewtwo, he blows up the facility, Giovanni does a bunch of shit, then they go. And I almost wonder, I mean, it's possible that I don't actually know if that 10-minute segment was just a part of the movie in the Japanese. That's what I'm assuming, because it seemed that way watching this. Like, it seamlessly bleeds into the movie, but, like, it did feel a lot weaker than the film as a whole. So maybe it was originally another segment, and the upload we watched just put it in there for some reason.
Well, the upload we watched had like Japanese text on it. Like it had the Pocket Monster screen instead of like the
in spite of having the dub audio.
So I think that we were watching like a rip from like a Japanese one with an English dub on it,
which is weird as fuck.
Which is really interesting. I know for a fact when they aired on TV, they do not include the 10-minute prologue with Mew and
but
shit.
It's because I've never seen that listed separately on my anime list. That's why I had never heard of it as like a separate section.
I know that because I've like been a big Sarah B fucking dweller during my early childhood, that they like had a separate page for the origins of Mew from the movie, so I always kind of just distinguished the two.
I had never even heard of it.
I just thought it was like a bonus feature, honestly.
But yeah, so whether it is or not, that segment's out of the way.
Yeah.
Then we get to Ash and friends just in some place, which is where they, like, every Pokemon movie, they're just like dicking around somewhere on their adventure. And as happens in the first few movies, at least, I don't know if it's in all of them, they get into a Pokemon battle at the start. It's usually an excuse to play the opening theme while showing Ash fight some guy.
Just wreck some team.
In this case, it's I don't know how I feel about it. This was the first time I ever heard the full-length version of the opening song. Probably the first time anyone ever heard it, because I don't even think the full length was on the original soundtrack. I'm not sure. But it's sung by someone else. It's like a weird 90s dance remix of the Pokemon theme.
It's very of the era, and it's weird.
And it's sung,
weird to listen to as an adult.
Yeah, it's sung in like a, you know, like a it's always been a dream kind of way.
Yeah,
But like the weirdest part about it is that all of the lyrics are like off time from how you're used to. Mm-hmm. We were both trying to sing along and failing horribly.
It was bad.
But the weird part is, because I remember having listened to this, like this version of the song, many times on the OST and being able to sing along with it. But where I think the wires got crossed in my head is I think I know the one from like the second or third movie better. And like I'm trying to sing, because they're all like redone versions. It's never just the opening song. It's always like a different singer version. They have a
pop singer doing a cover of it.
And I think that in my head, I was expecting the singer from like the second or third movie, and instead I'm getting this one. So I'm like trying to do a different fucked up version of the opening
I think it's probably the second version, because the third one had the Pokemon Johto song, which is fucking great.
Pokemon Johto. Did the second one have the original song?
Yeah, because it's still Gen 1.
Did Orange Islands have its own song, though?
No, they didn't fucking put that on there.
There was a... we all live in a Pokemon world. Was it that song in the second movie?
No way.
It's possible I was thinking of it, because I listened to the second movie soundtrack
I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll find out. But it's a very weird version of the song in this movie, and I would say the opening Pokemon battle is nothing all that impressive.
Yeah, you're not seeing any. You see Dawn Fan, I guess.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Cool, but
that's right. He wouldn't have been a guy yet. This movie. Because the Pikachu's Vacation was the first appearance of Snubbull and Meryl, who at the time, because this was Gen 1 was the only gen out at the time, so like these were completely new guys.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit, what is this?
Yeah, and then Ash fights a Donphan in the opening battle, which was also like a whoa.
It's a really strange choice.
Yeah.
Like, out of all of the Pokemon they could show from Gen 2,
Donphan's cool, though.
He is really cool. I'm glad they picked him, but... Yeah. I mean,
it's a neat little fight.
It's different than like Snubbull and Meryl.
It's not the most, like, sometimes in some of these movies they go all out on the opening fight. I want to say in Pokemon 3 there's like a really
that one's awesome.
Fight.
Yes.
But
they're in like a playground and they do it.
Yeah, that's right. But this one's got a pretty just standard Pokemon battle.
Movie, I'm sorry.
With a weird version of the song. Then we go into a Dragonite shows up and gives them a message from the strongest Pokemon trainer, inviting them out to go do something. I really love about this movie the usefulness of Pokemon, and this is something that I think is the biggest advantage of the Pokemon anime in general. Like, if you're someone who's never watched Pokemon the show, you've only played the games, I really feel like, to me, in the games, the Pokemon don't have much personality.
No.
Like, they are just a design and a set of attacks. The anime is how you understand the context that they actually exist in the world.
Especially in the first generation, because you're not seeing how they move. All you're hearing is like that basic sound clip, just a still sprite, and just whatever moveset that like you program it. There is.
Whereas in the anime, like every Pokemon has a clear purpose. Like Chansey is always in the Pokemon Center. Like that's what Chansey is like an assistant nurse.
And all the Pokemon have an attitude too. Like Squirtle is a stubborn bastard.
Yeah.
They're all really fun.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of fun with it.
So in the movie, there's a couple of interesting uses of Pokemon. First, we have a Fearow with a camera around its neck that's filming the Pokemon battle between Ash and this guy, which is how we're like, which is one of Mewtwo's agents for discovering trainers to summon to his island. Then a Dragonite shows up with like a bag, a messenger bag, and it's like a postal Dragonite, which is fucking adorable. Like, I think this is the best way Dragonite could ever be used. He looks so right as a postal guy.
Because he's a dorky. He's not a graceful dragon.
Yeah.
He's just a useful, helpful boy.
Yeah, I like this use of him a lot.
He just wants to give you some mail.
So he shows up and he gives this message to Ash, which is a very clear Star Wars reference.
Yeah.
It's a little hologram woman who's beautiful telling them they need to come out to this island. So they're like, hell yeah. Like, this is sketchy as fuck, but we're doing it. So they decide they're going to go out to the island. So first they have to go to this port town.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Mewtwo, who he's built this epic fucking tower on the island where the scientific facility used to be. And we see him sitting in his chair, and he does this very memorable to me hand gesture.
I've always remembered
where he's
that.
swirling his hand around. And it's beautifully animated. It's like just the timing of this animation is really great.
You can see every little movement in his wrists.
Yeah.
It's very anatomically correct for like something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. And the fact that it's like this weird combination of like a lazy kind of motion but very authoritative.
Yeah.
It's such a good fucking motion. Like I used to move my hand like that all the time.
Yeah,
you
same.
know? Like but you see Mewtwo.
It just conveys so much without actually seeing a character's face or any dialogue at all. All you can see is the hand and what is going on in the weather. And
it's great because we know, like, I love that in this section of the movie, like, even though we were with Mewtwo for the first 20 minutes, he doesn't show up again for the next 20 or 30 minutes, except for this one shot of his hand. So it kind of builds up his reveal again, in spite of the fact that we already know, a lot about him. But we see this hand, and he's summoning a storm. He's just creating this epic storm around his island. So then, at the port town, there's like hundreds of people, and they're all like supposed to be going to the island, but this huge storm is kicked up, and like the officers are telling them you can't go. And there's this weird, like, there's this lady who they gave this like fucking accent, like she's some kind of African shaman.
Yeah.
She's just a normal woman, but they've given her an African shaman voice, and she's like, you can't go to the island because there's this storm last time it happened killed all the Pokemon, but the tears brought them back to life, and it's just like, what the fuck is she talking
she's making
about?
up some bullshit.
Yeah, but the long and short of it is,
Do you think she's in on something?
I have no idea. I don't know. She's just a writing convenience, I think.
Yeah, I think she's just a crazy lady.
There had to be a reason for Pokemon Tears to bring Ash back to life at the end of the movie that was established at some point in the movie.
Do you think there's any connection between her and the next movie? Because they have that same kind of accent.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I don't think so either. Random. I'm just throwing out ideas.
I think she is.
She's a great addition.
I had no idea. Like, as a kid, I guess I didn't understand what she was saying or remember it enough to realize that they were foreshadowing that tears can bring a person back to life.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was some magical bullshit that they pulled out of their ass later in the movie, which, I mean, it still is, but, like, this is just here to justify that. So there's a big storm going on. They can't get to the island, but the trainers who have like badass Pokemon can do it.
Yeah, and cut to the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I love this scene.
Them getting to the island.
The whole transportation.
Yeah.
Scene.
Well, again, this is a great like usage of Pokemon moment.
I had like. A lot of them use water Pokemon to swim across the water. And I had only ever thought of, like, big Pokemon being able to surf. And I've always thought it was, like, interesting that small Pokemon can learn to surf, too.
Yeah.
What would that look like? Yeah. Oh, look at.
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that.
Yeah, so one uses a Dugong, one trainer uses a Gyarados.
Pidgeotto.
And one uses a Pidgeot that he later refers to as a Pidgeotto.
And has a Pidgeotto voice.
Yeah, there are several moments in this movie where the dub just gets the Pokemon wrong. The Pidgeot with a Pidgeotto voice and referred to as a Pidgeotto. Then there's a part where they're
showing the silhouettes of the clones as they're being cloned. And I think what Pokemon
they show
showing?
A Scyther and
they say Alakazam.
Yeah, they're like, oh, an Alakazam. I think there might be one more.
Probably.
But like, yeah, there's a few moments of like just the wrong Pokemon gets said, and we were like, dumb bastards.
It kind of takes you out of the experience.
just
when
for
you're
a second.
that into Pokemon, when you've gone to the theater 3 times to see the movie, you're just like, I wouldn't have gotten that wrong.
Yeah.
I'm a 9-year-old, and I wouldn't have gotten that wrong.
But so yeah, they're heading to the island, and Ash and friends don't have a Pokemon that's strong enough to take them because Ash has not caught Lapras yet. So instead, Team Rocket, who are invested in getting them to the island because they've also found out about this, show up on a Viking boat dressed as Vikings, and they're like, "We are Vikings. We will take you to the island faster than you can say perfect
tied
Mugen."
Meowth to the front of your ship and have dressed him like some kind of Valkyrie creature.
Yeah. And because our main characters are fucking utter morons, they board this rickety-ass dinghy to try to surf the biggest storm in the world to this island.
Some of the best jokes happen on this boat.
Yeah.
That would only happen in a dub.
I thought Vikings were gone. Oh, they mostly live in Minnesota now.
That line, like, when
I didn't get it as a kid.
My dad died. He was like, "So, this is so worth it, just for this one line of dialogue."
I had no idea what that meant as a kid.
I've always
Someone
just
had to explain
wondered
it to
what,
me.
like, the equivalent would have been in Japanese.
Yeah.
Like, what joke would they have said? Because they obviously weren't talking about football. Like,
no. I would imagine a lot of the script is different in Japanese.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I've never watched it in Japanese, and I don't know, man.
That's like, that joke was just the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Of dubs.
So, I mean...
This
is one of those scenes in this movie where, like, you have to kind of take a step back and go, like, okay, this makes sense in the context of Pokemon, because the main characters are literally stupid. But when you really think about it, it's like, what the fuck were they thinking? Getting on this rickety boat. It's hilarious. But, like, of course the boat capsizes. And they have smaller Pokemon that surf them up to the surface. And they make it to the island.
There's a Staryu and a Squirtle for 3 people, and Pikachu.
Yeah. And here we have a kind of an interesting, weird little detail, which is that Mewtwo's assistant is this woman who's dressed up in like an ostentatious getup, but she's actually a Nurse Joy who he's kidnapped and like mind controlled. Yeah. And he's just got her under psychic control. I don't really know why, but I really like that detail. Like, I don't know why that's in the movie, that she's a Nurse Joy that he's brainwashed, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's just like his basically his link to the human world is this woman.
I think that what they really were trying to do is just to, like, give Brock some extra lines.
Yeah.
In the movie and make him, like, useful in some way. Like, oh, what can we do? Let's conveniently insert a Nurse Joy into the movie.
That would be really funny if that's why she's in there. I think it's more that they were like, he should have a human, like, you know, partner.
Yeah, but why
like,
Nurse
let's
Joy?
use a character who's exists in the series.
Why Nurse Joy, who they're indistinguishable?
I like that a lot more than, like, because most of the Pokemon movies will just introduce new characters.
I like that more, too, because Brock is there, and they play off each other really well, and there's some interesting, like, conversation between that.
That's a good point. I never really thought about that. That, like, without her being there, Brock would literally have no dialogue in this movie. Like, all of his dialogue is relevant to the fact that there is a hot Nurse Joy.
Yeah.
And it's not even that much. He only has, like, 10 lines.
Yeah, Brock is a really minor character.
Yeah. Brock and Misty both.
Mm-hmm.
Barely
Misty has, like, Misty doesn't add anything.
She has the Staryu that gets them out of the
water.
water.
Yeah, I know, but, like, as far as, like, jokes go, as far as, like, having, like, a
presence in the movie.
I'm just thinking more of just lines.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think she says anything, like, really...
Brock and Misty are pretty along for the ride in this movie.
Yeah.
Misty plays a much bigger role in the second movie.
Of course.
But, yeah, Brock and Misty are pretty useless this time. But, like, so they all get to the island, and this is where the movie really, like, the rest of the movie is basically just, like, one long scene, almost, of Mewtwo and what he wants and what he's gonna make happen. They show up, Mewtwo's like, fuck you guys, I'm the greatest Pokemon master and the greatest Pokemon, and all of them are like, no, and so they start throwing their Pokemon at this guy, and he's just annihilating them. And, like, it's funny to think I don't know if I completely appreciated this at the time, because when I was a kid, I wasn't that good at Pokemon. But, like, the first thing they used to confront him is a Gyarados using Hyper Beam. This is, like, the strongest, like, Pokemon and move combination in the games kind of thing. One of the strongest. And Mewtwo just easily deflects it. Yeah. So they're all trying to fight him, and he's just like, you guys are fucking complete pussies. Yeah. And then he's like, by the way, I've got clones and shit, and I'm going to capture... What happens? He captures all the Pokemon after they fight the clones, right?
So he has 3 original clones. He has the Charizard, the Blastoise, and the Venusaur. Because... Which
have distinct designs for some reason.
Because that's how they were... Right. Like, depicted in the 10-minute short.
Yeah, and it's not really clear, because in the 10-minute part that was cut out, in his, like, weird psychic escapades, because Mewtwo was among 4 other clones. One was the guy's daughter, and the other 3 were the starter Pokemon, and they all had these weird designs on them, like they were tattooed or something. But the other ones all fail. So then Mewtwo has fully evolved versions of all of them as his standard clones with the weird designs and everything. Yeah,
because he's recreated the lab, and I don't know why he would recreate them if he can't remember them.
Is it just like from his like subconscious, like
possibly?
I don't know.
Or maybe that's what they like had like resources to make
maybe he like used the DNA of them, like the originals.
I'm thinking the reason why they have those markings is all like a marketing ploy. Because they're...
But it's weird because they never did anything with that. And they look really cool.
I'm sure there are some, like, figures or something.
I've never seen a single... like, we were saying this in the movie, like, how come they never made cards or toys or something out of these?
They have to have made something. Or maybe they had plans to make them. Because they were really cool designs. Especially, like, Blastoise. Yeah. I really like the way Blastoise looked. And Charizard looked pretty cool, too. But not as complex.
I'm shocked that they didn't go all out and do it with all the clones, but then I think it would have had less impact in the big fight scene.
I think if you, like, saw all of the Pokemon and them having to, like, animate those little differences, it would have been overwhelming. I like that they're indistinguishable during the scenes.
I think it makes it more impactful during the big final scene, but, like, it's weird that only 3 of them have... I mean, that Pikachu 10-minute segment justifies it. That like
the second Pikachu clone has like weird patterns on his ears, and the other
I never noticed.
Yeah, like the base on his ears like is slightly like spiky.
Okay.
So like there is a variant in that, and also the other Meowth like is on his all 4s.
Yeah, well he's just a standard Meowth, because Meowth only Team Rocket's Meowth
because he trained himself.
Yeah, able to walk.
So like a biological clone wouldn't have had the same experiences.
So,
which is a really interesting, like, idea. Detail and to portray in, like, a kid's cartoon.
There's a lot of... I think my favorite thing about this movie is some of the weird stuff happening, like, kind of on the side. Mm-hmm. Because the actual plot of this movie is extremely straightforward. It's, like, beyond Mewtwo's backstory, which, like, that whole segment has more, like... going on plot-wise than the whole rest of the movie. The rest of the movie is just Mewtwo thinks that humans and Pokemon are shit. Like, he thinks humans are shit, and he thinks that all the Pokemon who exist currently are just subservient to humans, and therefore they are shit. So he's gonna destroy the whole world and populate it with his clone Pokemon. They're the only ones who deserve to exist because they're not just slaves to their masters. So, that's it. That's what he wants to do. That's what's going on. Everyone else is trying to stop him by somehow making him realize that this is a bad idea. Yeah. That's the thrust of the movie. But in the meantime, on the side, like, Team Rocket's in this movie basically as an exposition device, because while Mewtwo is confronting all the trainers and they're all having this emotional back and forth, we keep cutting to Team Rocket, who is like finding the laboratory and like learning about the clones and stuff like that, and like they're kind of allowing us to get another angle on this all. Yeah. But in a fun way.
Definitely. Like they have a lot of interesting things to say, and the way they think is really interesting, and it's also interesting to see another side of their characters.
Yeah, they're always used really well in the movies.
Definitely. Because I think they're kind of a stand-in for the audience. Because the main cast they're stupid kids.
Right.
And even stupid kids know better.
I think, yeah, I love it when Team Rocket, like, the point of them is, like, especially in the movies, they always, like, make sure to remember that they are adult characters.
Yeah.
Like, so they will ask the questions that adults would ask. They will do, like, they'll look at a situation differently from, you know, the dumb-ass main characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty fun watching them like just explore the facility, and the architecture and design of the tower that Mewtwo has built feels very like H.R. Geiger Alien influenced. It's like all these weird like doorways. Everything looks kind of organic.
Yeah.
And trippy and shit. And there's like the birthing pods look really cool.
Oh my gosh.
The way that Pokemon come out of them, which is like, it's like a weird film that they
the
emerge
Pokemon
from.
just ooze out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like gross and cool.
Yeah.
The
it
whole
just feels like everything should
cool.
have a layer of slime on it.
Yeah.
Like a vaginal slime.
Yeah, it's which is like because Alien and H.R. Geiger is all like about like rape and birthing metaphors. Like the whole like all the design of the movie is metaphors for birthing, and this movie is like a toned down kids version of that, where it's like, yeah, it's a cloning facility, so everything looks like a vagina, but like not quite, not enough that it's weird, not enough that it's obvious, you know, but you can kind of see it a little bit if you squint, you know, but like, yeah, so basically Mewtwo BTFOs all the trainers, and then he captures all their Pokemon. And I think that's probably, like, my favorite sequence in the movie in terms of, like, animation is when his Pokeballs are, like, he has these special Mewtwo balls, and they're all flying around catching all the Pokemon, and, like, all of them, like, running, and the trainers are trying to, like, beat away the Pokeballs desperately, and then, like, Pikachu has this whole extended sequence of, like, running away.
Oh my god, the Pikachu scene is incredible.
Yeah.
Because Pikachu is, like, you can see the desperation in the way he's running, and his running sequence isn't just the same image repeated over and over again. Like, they show him at different angles, running at different paces, like, going different directions. It was just really, like, a lot of cool directions were taken.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's just, like, so fascinating that some, like, a creature that doesn't exist, like, real animals don't move that way, how they can, like, just imagine how that would look and make it so accurate.
Yeah, when you mention it, when you say it like that, I'm like, yeah, nothing does quite move like a Pikachu, does it?
Yeah.
Pikachu running from the balls, and it's like this long extended sequence, and then Ash jumps off of this thing, catches Pikachu, and he like follows it down into where the Pokeballs are being taken, because no one has more desperation to get, like, it's kind of funny seeing all these other trainers who clearly do care about their Pokemon, but like the movie is outright telling you Ash cares that much more. Yeah. Ash cares more about Pikachu than anyone cares about anything, and he will kill himself for Pikachu. Like, it does not matter. There's no hesitation. Like, the difference between when he's like, you know, he says like, oh, I can put Squirtle and Bulbasaur back in their Pokeballs and Mewtwo won't be able to get them. And so he puts them back, and then the Pokeballs just eat the Pokeballs. And Ash is like, oh, fuck. But then when they're going after Pikachu, like when Pikachu gets captured in a ball, he's like grabbing the ball, like letting it pull him, like nothing can take this from me, you know? And, you know, it really sells you on that connection more than anything else. Then he goes through like the machine that's like makes the clones, and he's like got all these arms on him, and he's like ripping them out of their sockets, like trying to save Pikachu. It's pretty great. Ash has a big hero moment in this movie in a very physical way that, like, you know, it's kind of clever, because for the most part Pokemon is a show about using Pokemon to do stuff. But like what has always made Ash kind of work is that he will like fight Pokemon. Like even in episode 1, it's like him getting beaten by Spearows trying to save Pikachu.
He'll put himself on the front line. Yeah,
he is not afraid to get very hurt in order to help his Pokemon. So that's kind of what I think distinguishes him as a hero in this world.
Oh, definitely.
So, yeah, so all the Pokemon get cloned, and they're all like Mewtwo was intending to just be like, all right, I'm going to clone all my Pokemon. The storm's going to destroy the Earth, and like I'm just going to show you guys. I don't really know why he wanted to show these trainers. Like, I understand that he summoned them all to the island probably to prove to himself, like just to be like, okay, let's see how strong my clones are. And then they beat up all their Pokemon, and he's like, sick. My clones are like as I thought. My clones are dope, and he wants there to be an army of cloned Pokemon, so he, gathered these trainers so that he could clone all their Pokemon and have his little clone
I think
army.
there's, like, a Mewtwo was looking for a lot of things.
Yeah.
He was definitely looking for, like, some kind of experience, and he wanted a purpose.
Right.
Like, I don't think, like, I think he's happy to have not destroyed the Earth.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted something to, like, him to discover something that would stop him. I don't
know about all that,
You don't
but
think so?
I can see him.
I think, like,
I can see more that he's like confused about exactly what he wants and just like thinks that like he's trying to do this big show of force because he thinks that's like what makes him is that he's the strongest, and like proving it to anyone, like he summons, because he handpicks these trainers. He sends scouts around the world to find what he considers the strongest trainers so that he can kick their asses. And like he has to prove to somebody that he can do that, even though he already knows he's the strongest Pokemon. But like I guess it's an expression of his identity as the strongest to beat up the Pokemon.
Do you relate to Mewtwo a lot?
Not really.
I don't know. You're really like your ability to step into Mewtwo's shoes.
I'm just trying to understand why he would do
Mewtwo?
this. I think I am Mewtwo.
Oh shit.
You are Mama. Different movie. So yeah, like he has his clone army, but Ash has broken the machines, and he comes out of this cloud of dust with all the original Pokemon. And there's a very brief scene that's animated on ones. Do you know that term? Do you know what that means?
When you said that, I've heard it before. I just don't know exactly what that means.
Right. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to explain it in the middle of the movie.
Yes, please do.
Before. Because I said, and when the scene happened, I went animated on ones. And
I've definitely heard that before, and I've seen things animated that way.
Yeah, basically, classic like Disney animation is every frame there's a movement. But in most animation nowadays and in most anime, it's every other frame there's movement. So basically there's two of every frame in an animation segment. So like, when you see something where like it seems way more like it's just way more movement happening than normal, that means it's just every single frame is animated, which is called animating on ones as opposed to animating on twos. So there's just one like 3-second moment of Ash walking out of the clouds with all these Pokemon, and it's animated on ones, and like you can tell that like there's just this constant fluidity of animation.
It was pretty magical.
Yeah. So they come out, and they're like, fuck you, Mewtwo. Like, Mewtwo's like, you're all bitch boys. And then Mew shows up, and Mewtwo's like, oh, it's you. Like, because remember, Mewtwo's plan is already to destroy the world and kill all the Pokemon. So when he sees Mew, he's like, well, this is going to solidify it. Like, if I can kill you, I am definitely the strongest Pokemon, and, like, there's nothing left. There's no debate left. So Mew and Mewtwo start fighting, and they seem evenly matched. All the other Pokemon then start beating the shit out of each other. And there's an important detail that I never caught as a kid, and I guess I just never questioned it, that Mewtwo disables all of the Pokemon's powers. So none of them can use their actual moves. They can only just, like, fight each other head on. And it's because, like, I guess Ash, whoever it was it Ash who said something to, like...
Mew was talking to Mewtwo.
Like, what did they say that made him disable the powers, though? Like,
Mew was saying that, oh, you're just going to show off that your powers are stronger than everybody else, but, like, it really comes from the heart. Oh, it's what's in your heart
that matters,
yeah.
Right. And so Mewtwo says,
Mewtwo gets fucking pissed off, and he's like, I'm just going to have my Pokemon beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, I guess he misinterprets what Mew says. He thinks Mew is saying that if your Pokemon didn't have superpowers, they wouldn't be strong. What Mew's really saying is that true strength is like what you do and who you are, not how strong you are. But Mewtwo misinterprets it, and he disables all the powers of the Pokemon. So they all just start beating the shit out of each other. And it starts playing this really corny song. I love Brother My Brother because I grew up with this movie, and I've sang it thousands of times in my life because it's really fun to sing. Yeah. But this song is corny as fuck. Oh my god!
Did you see the nostalgia critic of this movie?
No, I haven't. I don't watch nostalgia critic.
It's youth shattering.
Oh yeah,
I've only seen 2 nostalgic critic videos. One was this one. The other one was like Why Anime Sucks or something.
Oh, can we just pretend this one ever began? We should love one another. Oh, wait, did I already say the line? We should try, brother, my brother. You gotta sing it as magic. As possible. It's kind of crazy to cause such pain.
It's better than the original.
But it's so fucking corny.
It's really corny.
Like, I think really it's mostly just the instrumentation that's corny as fuck.
Everything about it is corny.
Yeah.
The delivery is corny.
It's what's weird about it is that the song sounds like a protest song playing during the fight scene. Like, it sounds like a song that's like, I don't know. I feel like they were trying to capture the same atmosphere as, have you ever heard the song like, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Yeah. Which you would not play that song over an actual war scene. It wouldn't feel right. You'd want something more dramatic, like, So This Is Christmas by the fucking, John Lennon.
Oh my gosh.
God, that song fucking destroys me. Yeah. But anyways, there's this corny music playing over the scene of all these Pokemon beating the shit out of each other, but then finally the music stops, and that's when it gets really heavy, because it's like, it starts playing the film score, which is really dramatic, and it's like slow-mo of all these Pokemon just fucking brutalizing each other.
Yeah.
But what really got to me, this is where this movie becomes actually kind of powerful, is as these Pokemon are beating the shit out of each other, they're so weak that they literally have to lean on each other. Like they're like hugging each other while they're fighting because they're so fucking powerless that they're like they're
collapsing.
Yeah, they're collapsing onto each other, and it's like you can see like the imagery of it like tells you they should be like hugging, but it's this desperation. It's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
It really is brutal. And then there's a scene that legit brought me to tears in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's when the Pikachus are fighting. This scene is beautifully directed because all these Pokemon are fighting. And first we actually have another one of my, the tangent scenes I really like, which is where Meowth is confronted by Clone Meowth. And, basically, Clone Meowth's let's not fight. He's seeing what's happening all around him, and it's this is fucking bullshit. Let's not fight. And, Meowth is interpreting this all for us. And, Clone Meowth's like, look, man, I don't, we're from the same, we're basically the same person. Just because we were born different doesn't mean that there's any meaningful difference between us. We're on the same earth, we're under the same sky, and it's like, oh man, that's some real shit.
No,
but then we get to the scene of the Pikachus fighting, and Ash's Pikachu will not fight. Ash's Pikachu is this is, I'm not doing it. And so this clone Pikachu is just beating the shit out of Ash's Pikachu. But it's trying so hard to beat up Pikachu that it's hurting itself. Because, it can't go on. And, Ash's Pikachu is so fucking strong. It's taking a beating. And it's Ash's Pikachu's all beaten down. He's like, I'm not going to do it, dude. I'm not going to hit you. And the other Pikachu, who clearly feels bad that he's hitting, he knows this is wrong.
Crying.
And he's like, you can there's the way that Ash's Pikachu is responding to what it's saying. You can tell that he's telling him to hit him. He's like, why aren't you hitting me? Hit me back. And Ash's Pikachu is saying no. There's no dialogue, but you can tell this is happening. That it's saying, like, hit me, and Ash's Pikachu is saying no. And so this thing just keeps hitting him, and it's crying while it's hitting him. It's crying while it's beating up Pikachu and losing energy, and it's fucking... and it goes on for, like, a while. Yeah. It's, like a full, like, 10 slaps of this thing just slapping Pikachu and crying and breaking down, and I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking real. This is so fucking real. So these Pikachus are beating the shit out of each other. It's really emotional. And then Ash comes, like, Ash, who has been, he got blasted, like, way the fuck up into the, like, the whatever shit, like, the rafters. Mm-hmm. And he's fallen all the way down. He's got the shit kicked out of him. But Ash is, like, crawling up, and he's like, someone needs to stop this. Like, this can't stop until someone makes a stand. Someone like Pikachu, who's over there not willing to fight, needs to get up and make everyone realize we can't keep fighting. So Ash goes running out to go, stop! Right as Mewtwo and Mew are firing their Ultra Blasts at each other, and bam, Ash gets turned to stone and fucking dies.
Yeah.
Ash fucking dies. This movie, they went, all right, Pokemon. You know Pokemon? It's that show for little kids.
That's from Japan.
Where nothing meaningful has ever happened.
No.
Like, Pokemon the anime is not a show that has, like deep scenes.
They just eat rice
messages.
And
yeah. Like,
collect badges.
There's occasionally a more emotional episode, usually revolving around Ash, like, giving up one of his, like, you know, Butterfree goes off to be with another Butterfree, or when his Pikachu almost goes to live with the Pikachus, but, like, there's never anything like high stakes drama. Like, the world is going to end, or this clone of my daughter fucking died, or the main character of the show gets turned to stone and literally dies. But it's not really him dying that's super emotional. It's Pikachu trying to wake him up. And I really have to praise Otani Ikue's performance of Pikachu in this movie.
Yeah.
Because Pikachu, his voice doesn't pick up because he's still so beaten down that he can't get loud. Like, at first he's going over and he's just like, Pikachu. He's just like, get up, Ash. Like he doesn't have that, like, the power to really get desperate. And then he starts shocking him, and he's just shocking him more and more desperately. He's like giving every last ounce of power he has until he just can't, and he just starts crying. And then you're like, oh my fuck. And then all the Pokemon start crying. But then you remember that the tears of the Pokemon can bring them back to life. Whatever the fuck her accent was. And their tears bring him back, and Mewtwo's like, oh, I see now. I was a douchebag. And so he takes all his clones and they fly away to go
fuck off.
To go have a clone paradise somewhere.
Yeah, they have a sequel movie with him and his clones.
I've never seen Mewtwo Returns.
I saw it a long time ago. I rented it from Blockbuster. Do not remember a single moment of it.
I've heard it's not amazing.
Probably not.
It's just okay. I mean, obviously Mewtwo was such a popular fucking character in this movie that they had to make a sequel.
Movie, at least.
Which, I mean, I understand why. Mewtwo's badass in this movie. He's fucking cool. But, yeah, he learns the lesson that I don't remember exactly how he phrases it, but he learns his lesson, and so they all fuck off. Mew goes back to being... By the way, we didn't even mention how fucking cute Mew is in this movie. Mew is a delight throughout this movie. Because up until the point where he's fighting Mewtwo, Mew is just kind of around because he's curious. Mm-hmm. He's like... I get the sense he was sensing some big psychic event happening with the storm, and so he wanted to check it out. But throughout the whole movie, he just pops up in random places. Yeah, in, like, the background.
He has a really fun way to interact with the environment and to, like, really kind of see world building and action.
He injects a lot of levity into this movie.
Definitely.
Because, like, while there is... The Team Rocket is comic relief. Like, there's a lot of jokes involving Team Rocket. But, like, the Pokemon themselves are all very serious throughout most of this movie. While Mew is just fucking around. Like, Mew is just being cute and, like, just interacting in weird ways with the stuff going on. Until the point where... Mewtwo hits him with a... Even when he first encounters Mewtwo, he's not, like, paying attention. He doesn't really seem to care about what's happening. And it's not until Mewtwo hits him with a Shadow Ball that he gets fucking serious. Yeah. But yeah, Mewtwo flies off with his guys. He wipes everybody's memories, and the movie's over. And then we get the ending credit sequence, which rapid fires through like 4 or 5 pop songs from the OST that have nothing to do with the movie.
They're just There's like one generic sounding pop song.
One song, which is "If My Tears Could Bring You Back to Me," which is actually thematically relevant. But the other 4 songs are just like, why is this in the movie? Yeah. Other than we needed all these songs to like have an appearance so that they're justified in being on the soundtrack. But yeah, that's the Pokemon movie. It's pretty fucking cool. Like, I would say the whole Mewtwo establishing part, like, aside from the 10 minutes that I think were rightfully cut from the movie, because they don't add enough to be worth it, that part otherwise is really fucking cool. The Pikachu's fighting was really emotional. Like, just all the Pokemon fighting stuff I thought was great. I would say that them going to the island, when they first get there, it maybe drags a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say that the other trainers are not very interesting.
No.
The other trainers who come to this island, their personalities are, "Fuck you, Mewtwo, I do what I want." Like, none of them are really characters at all.
They're cool trainers.
Really, all the best moments in this movie are the ones that either focus on Mewtwo or Ash.
Or Meowth.
Or Meowth. They are the ones who, like, have the most to say in this movie.
Yeah.
Ash, because he does lots of cool heroic stuff, and he really gives a fuck about Pikachu. And obviously, the stuff involving Pikachu, too. Mewtwo is great. Mew is great, and Meowth has a surprising amount of depth in his conversation with his clone. But otherwise, a lot of it, I would say this is a very small feeling movie in a way that I didn't even really realize as a kid. Because, like, at the very beginning, there's more of an adventure feel to it, where we've got Ash's starting Pokemon battle, and they go to the seaside place, and they get lost at sea, and then they end up on the island. But then once they're on the island, it's, like, basically 2 rooms for the rest of the movie. There's the big room where they confront Mewtwo, then the stadium, and then also there's the cloning room. And, like, that's it. And honestly, I'm surprised that they kept the movie as entertaining as they did, with so few locations and, like, as repetitive of dialogue as there is. But it still holds up. I had a great time.
I did too.
I'd probably give it a strong 7.
I was gonna give it a 7.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So Pikachu's Vacation gets a 9.
Oh, yes.
Pokemon the first movie gets a 7 from us. Good times. And next up, we'll watch my favorite Pokemon movie.
Pokemon
2000. So we'll see you then. And that's it for the first episode of our Pokemon journey.
Miguel out.
Miguel out.